of the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Shenandoah Valley. Welcome to today's service for June 13th, 2021, with the title of Starting Over, and this month's covenant group and worship theme of endings. Our theme of endings lifts up this gradual ending of prolonged quarantine pandemic time. The theme also lifts up the ending of our church program year with today's town hall meeting in anticipation of next week's annual congregational meeting. Unlike last year, when the annual meeting had to be held online, this year, both of these meetings will have some members and friends here at church, and everyone else is invited to participate on Zoom today. And in this Pride Month, in celebration and solidarity with our family and friends of the larger LGBTQ community, we lift up the desired ending of discrimination based on gender or sexual orientation. This month's Share the Plate offering is for the Laurel Center and its work to end and heal from domestic and sexual violence. Share the Plate contributions can be made online or by sending a check to the church office. Today's service is being recorded live right now, and it will be slightly edited before it's posted on our church website tomorrow and available through a link that we'll be sending out via our church email. With the changes to the CDC and Virginia public mandates, we have begun a gradual preparation for our scheduled full reopening on September 12th. So from now until our first official service of the program year, which is our annual in-gathering water and earth communion on September 12th, between now and then, we will be alternating between predominantly in-person services like we're doing today, here in the sanctuary, that will be recorded and posted the following day, or what we've been doing this past whole year, only less frequently, pre-recorded services that can be viewed by following a link or going to our website, instead of meeting together on Sunday morning. The schedule of services will indicate how they'll be taking place. I know it's going to be somewhat confusing for a few weeks, but it is a temporary transition, so please bear with us. We are all having to learn some new ways of doing things as we emerge from the pandemic quarantine time. This will feel awkward and confusing at times, but our goal here at church is always to promote the health and safety of all of us. We encourage everyone to make their own best decisions about participating either in person or virtually, and we encourage and support everyone to go at your own pace. And now, our opening words for today's service are adapted from the late Unitarian Universalist minister, Eileen Carpelise, who I had the pleasure of meeting at our Eno River Fellowship in Durham many years ago. This is it's a dedication reading, building dedication reading. May this house be truly a place of meeting one another in warmth and joy and openness, meeting one another in courage and love and trust. May all who enter here trust one another so surely that they dare to share the deep fires that sometimes even burst into anger, as well as the sweet spring waters that swell into laughter, the slow erosion of wounded tears as much as the soaring song. May these walls know our silence as 100 hearts search inward for each its own small spark of hope that might otherwise be snuffed out in the noise. May the rain fall lightly on this house, the sun shine warmly, the winds blow softly, and bless it as a place of joy and peace.
Welcome, everyone. On behalf of the entire congregation, I welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist Church of the Shenandoah Valley. I am Norma Riley, your worship associate for today's service. We gather together with our doubts as well as our convictions, with our fears and our hopes, with our failures and our aspirations, with our sorrows and our joys. Whether you are joining us today for the first time, or you've been a member or a friend for many years, we are glad you are here. Whatever faiths you have known, if any, whatever your background, whoever you are, whomever you love, however you arrived here, you are welcome. Now, as Christine, Molly, and Maeve come forward, let us say together, here and from our homes, the words for lighting our chalice. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, to share. And I invite you to join with us as we say our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church. The quest for truth is the sacrament. To dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, and to help our neighbor. To these ends we covenant one with another.
And now, hopefully you grabbed a hymnal on your way in. We have an in-gathering song. If you don't have a hymnal, you can raise your hand and one will be delivered to you happily. Please turn to number 361 for our in-gathering song, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. And you can rise in body or spirit as we sing it together. Hang on just a second, Elaine. Yes, everybody have a hymnal who wants one? Please rise in body or spirit. And we'll sing all 5 verses. They're very short. From the time of the beginning of our quarantine, every single week we've paused at the beginning of each service for a time of silence. Sometimes I've taken longer to introduce that time. It's been a tough year. And it's still tough. But today's a joyful day. And we have to make a space for the whole spectrum that we're experiencing. And so now I'm just going to invite you into a short time of silence as we gather our hearts and minds together, also aware of those who are joining us in spirit and will be joining us in the coming days when they view this service online. We want to hold our whole community, our church community, our local community, our country, and our world in this time of silence.
Are by David and Beverly Bombau and are found in the hymnal supplement called Lifting Our Voice, Readings in the Living Tradition. Our church exists to proclaim the gospel that each human being is infinitely precious, that the meaning of our lives lies hidden in our interactions with each other. We wish to be a church where we encounter each other with wonder, appreciation, and expectation, where we call out of each other strengths, wisdom, and compassion that we never knew we had.
Wow, how awesome is this? To see all your wonderful faces. And if you haven't already, or even if you have, take a good look around. What a long-awaited moment to be together at last in person. Same space, same time, same back channel, as they used to say on that old TV show. Such a long time. The last Sunday service we held in this space with our congregation sitting together here was March 8, 2020. A full 15 months ago. That's a whole lot of Sundays that we've been apart physically. Thankfully, though, we haven't been fully apart. Many of us have kept in touch with each other through our virtual pre-recorded online Sunday services and through our weekly Sunday morning noon Zooms and midweek Zoom check-ins. Many of us have stayed in touch with each other through Zoom gatherings such as covenant groups and other kinds of regular meetings. We stayed in touch with each other through our church neighborhood group phone tree and through our buddy system of peer companionship and even maybe a dinner group or two. It has not been easy to keep in touch with each other, not as easy as we would have liked, but we found our ways for doing it, and now we have made it to the other side of the pandemic quarantine, well, at least the beginning of the other side, we hope. So it's time to celebrate being able to be together again in person, to see each other face to face in real time, and for some of us who have missed them so much to once again be able to offer and receive hugs. What a relief. What a relief to be reconnected with some of the things we used to do all the time and to have gone such a long time without. The past 15 months of the pandemic has tried each and every one of us in some way or another. We've all had to endure a prolonged time of isolation, anxiety, uncertainty, apprehension. And we've all had to handle this quarantine time in our own ways, the ways that work for us. Those of us who are introverts have been able to adapt, perhaps a little more easily than the majority extroverts among us, especially extroverts who happen to live alone or in small family configurations. The couples among us have been challenged too. As one of our church couples is known to say, it's not always easy to spend 48 hours of a day together. The active retirees among us have not been able to be as active with their volunteer work and other activities, including travel, as before. And among those of us still working for a living, many have had to transition to working remotely from home, or as my daughter, who took on a remote job, says, we're not just working from home, we are living at work. Even though many of the quarantine restrictions are being lifted now here in Virginia, we know we will not be able to return to normal, so to speak, to return to the way things were before the onset of the COVID-19 virus and global pandemic. In many ways, we are not starting again. We are starting over. There's no going back to the way things were before. With the new reality of a global pandemic, we are venturing into uncharted waters for human life on Earth and for all of us, no matter where we live on this precious blue planet in the wide expanse of space. Hopefully, with all the adjustments that we've already had to make, all of us will be a little bit more conscious of public health risks going into the future, keeping some of the new habits we've had to adopt, whether it is wearing protective facial masks or reducing surface contacts and increasing hand hygiene. Hopefully, we will continue to have a better understanding of just how interconnected we all are in terms of health and proximity. We can do a better job of protecting others when we happen to be sick, and of protecting ourselves whenever we might be exposed to health risks carried by others in our social sphere. We can become more aware and conscientious about our impact on others and their impact on us, especially concerning our health. But that statement can apply not just to our physical health, but also our emotional and psychological health as well. This past year has been terribly difficult on our mental and emotional health. And I believe that is one reason why our community here at the UU Church of the Shenandoah Valley has been able to stick together through these hard times. I have been known to say our community was made for times such as these. We need each other more than we know. Even though we haven't been able to be there for each other physically through these past 15 months, we have genuinely tried to be there for each other emotionally and spiritually. I truly believe our UU community here has provided and will continue to provide a source of strength and encouragement for us all. I know I have been encouraged and strengthened by you. As we move forward into the next phase of uncharted waters, one thing we want to do here at church is to make our activities more accessible for those who are not able to join us in person. So we will continue to make our Sunday services available online, and we will continue to make our church meetings, including coffee hour, available for online participation through Zoom. Even though, now I just want to say that it wasn't easy for us to adapt to all this online and Zooming stuff. And so it will probably not be easy for us to adapt when we're trying to include in-person and online gatherings simultaneously. So please bear with us as we learn some new ways of being together and doing church together. Even though many of the pandemic quarantine restrictions are being gradually lifted, we know that there are those among us who have underlying and pre-existing health conditions, those of you who have to continue taking vigilant measures to protect your health, and we support you. We want to include you, even though we may stumble as we are learning how to do it. Mistakes will be made, and we will try to learn from them and correct them as quickly as we can. So again, we ask for your patience and your feedback as we find our way forward into this brave new hybrid and multi-platform world. As we continue to find our way in these uncharted waters, continue to emerge from our 15-month pandemic quarantine, at least we didn't have to wait 17 years like the cicadas, right? Today is a new day. Even though in many ways we are having to start over, we are here together, in person and online. We are fortunate to have this community, this faith of Unitarian Universalism, both of whom accompanies us through these strange times, challenging times in which we live. We have each other. Blessed be. And we will now gratefully receive an offering to support the work of our congregation within and beyond our walls. And now I invite you once again to turn toward a hymnal, if you have one nearby, for a closing song. Number 12, O Life That Maketh All Things New. Please make your way to the page and rise in body or spirit as we sing together.
Molly and Maeve, extinguish the flame. Let us say together here and from our homes the words for extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of our community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. The purpose of the church is to encourage all who gather to grow more generous in spirit and in action. We hope you will consider making an offering after today's service through our webpage, uushenandoah.org. This will allow us to exercise that generosity of spirit for this self-supporting church and its many missions which continue while we are not able to be physically together. We invite you to join our church community at noon at our virtual post-service gathering for joys and concerns, followed by our coffee hour conversations in smaller breakout groups. The Zoom link is found in your UUCSV email. Thank you for joining us today.
Here in this place of peace, may we find hope. Here in this place of connection, may we find life-giving community. Here in this place of rest, let the unrest of our hearts turn us toward justice. Here in this space, made sacred by our memories of connection, let us each feel ourselves part of the new that grows from the old in a spiraling unity of years. Our closing words by Leslie Takahashi today. Thank you all for being with us today.